Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Rico's Corner. Holy shit, let's talk about that acquisition from Microsoft of ZeniMax Media and the PreOrder Chaos. Let's get into it. Alright, first of all, go ahead, go down there, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. A huge thank you for everybody that has subscribed already and for all of your support. Definitely without you this wouldn't be possible, and so if you want to see more content from me, from Rico's Corner, leave a comment down there, and again, subscribe if you haven't already. But yeah, so this week we heard out of nowhere that Microsoft decided to spend $7.5 billion to acquire Bethesda. Technically ZeniMax Media, which is the parent company of Bethesda. But if you don't know, Bethesda is one of the biggest publishers out there, and I'm sure you've either seen or heard of games from them, like Doom, The Elder Scrolls, Fallout, The Evil Within. All of these big titles, AAA titles, that all of a sudden are now under the Microsoft umbrella. Now, this was, again, out of nowhere at the eve of the pre-orders for their next generation console, and then decided to just come out clean. Hey, guess what? We just acquired ZeniMax Media. There's been a lot of talk about it. There's definitely have been a lot of places, news outlets, as well as other YouTube channels that have talked about these news. And so I just wanted to provide a little bit of my speculation, my opinion on all of this, and also share a little bit of information with you guys on all of this move and what is happening. And also, of course, the pre-order chaos. That being said, I think it was definitely a smart move from Microsoft. Coming off of a really rough patch in the last generation, with the launch of the Xbox One, and pushing for it to be a media hub rather than focusing on gaming, they shifted focus and they are making things right. And I think that, they're keeping up with their promise. They were acquiring more studios, game developer studios, that, this is really proof of how serious they are, that they just go in with a huge offer to ZeniMax Media to acquire them. Now, this has, like I said, gotten people talking about what's going to happen with these games. There's going to be a lot of gamers out there that, are into the Elder Scrolls, Fallout, the Evil Within, and all of these games have been in both Microsoft's platform, Xbox, as well as Sony's PlayStation. And so, essentially, the first thought that comes to mind is, guess what? All of these are becoming first-party titles for Microsoft. And so if you are a fan of these series, then you're jumping into Xbox to go and play them. And the timing of it is kind of what is really key for this, right? The eve of the pre-orders for the Xbox Series X and the Series S, all of a sudden, if you want to be playing these titles in the future, in the next generation console, you might swivel over to buying an Xbox Series X or a Series S instead of going with PlayStation. Now, of course, Microsoft hasn't come out and said, hey, these are going to be first party titles. They're not going to be exclusive. And it's really important that they've actually said that they're still going to support these titles in multi-platforms. And I think this is what it's going to change, not just how we've been looking at the console wars between Sony and Microsoft, but it's going to change gaming as a whole. right? I think Microsoft, if we put it in a business perspective, has been really smart on doing this move, because then their games are going to be played in Sony's PlayStation, and so they'll still get a cut of the gamers that might be on the PlayStation platform. And so now it's, they've had Game Pass. If they are acquiring game studios that have titles across platforms and not just exclusive to Xbox, they're getting a bigger piece of the pie of those gamers, and it really committing to the mantra of playing on the devices that you have, and really turning this into a gaming service that you can do anywhere. And there's been the Google Stadia, the concept of it, which, to put it simple, it's the Netflix of gaming. If that were the case, that you can have your phone with Netflix, your laptop, your TV, same way that you can have now, the Xbox or the Microsoft Game Pass, not Xbox anymore, but you can play it in Xbox, you can play it in your PC, and now going after games that can't be played in other platforms and acquiring the studios that are publishing those games. And so, yeah, I mean, this was really smart. And like I said, they're keeping up with the promise of, buying more studios, focusing more on gaming, and it definitely was a smart move. And I think it's definitely going to pay off in the long term. Now, on Tuesday, there was the pre-orders. Total chaos. Not as bad, I'll say, I have to say, not as bad as Sony's PlayStation 5 chaos, where Sony's executives, were giving one message and the retailers gave a completely different message and left out, gamers kind of high and dry on what happened. You were going to give us a good time to prepare so that, we're ready to pre-order. And then with Xbox pre-orders going live on the 22nd at 8, I think it was 8 my time, 8 Pacific, 8 a.m. Pacific, they just flew off the shelves, and I think it could have been definitely better handled. I think we are in the age of, technology getting even more developed, that you'll have even more problems with scalpers, and they're getting smarter and creating bots to buy those or pre-order those consoles right away, and not leaving any for the consumers, for the gamers that are out there just because of they're enthusiastic about the next generation. Now, I wasn't out there expecting to get a pre-order. I wasn't going to pre-order, so I'm gonna wait until November to take a look at that, and maybe even wait until Black Friday to see if there's some type of discount or sale going on. Like I mentioned in my previous video, you can wait a little bit and you might start seeing the bundles with a couple of games bundled in, or an extra controller, or things like that. But yeah, I mean, that happened this week. And while it was a little bit better handled with the communication from Microsoft to the gamers and their customers, it wasn't perfect, right? I mean, you had heard different outlets reporting on how retailers didn't have enough pre-orders to go around. And this is all speculation. It could have been because of scalpers. It could have been because there was really that many people interested. It could have been the fact that Microsoft announced the acquisition from ZeniMax Media. I mean, all of these are factors that shift, customers over from one platform to another. For gamers to try to decide, okay, am I going with the PlayStation 5? Am I going with the Xbox One? I mean, the Xbox Series X. And so, yeah, I mean, all of this happened this week. I'm still super excited to see and get my hands on in November with an Xbox Series X or in the Series S. I still haven't made my decision. but definitely wanted to share that with you guys. And the biggest announcements that we got this week and how the pre-orders went. They were still talking about, how that's gonna look for pre-orders round 2 and getting more pre-orders out there before the November release. Hopefully there's gonna be some more clear communication, and maybe the retailers are going to be a little bit better at controlling and putting a good way in systems to prevent scalpers from going out there and getting them, especially if they're utilizing bots. But other than that, that's really all I wanted to talk about. I want to hear from you, so I want to hear what you're thinking. I want to hear what was your perspective. What you think? What do you think about the acquisition? I mean, 7.5 billion. It's no chump change. And to Microsoft decide all of a sudden, hey, you know what? We're doing this. I mean, I think it's still a smart move. And I think if we put it into the perspective of the console wars between Sony and Microsoft for this console generation, I think this just might have given Microsoft that edge to get ahead. What about the pre-orders? Did you end up getting one? Were you able to find one? And if so, what was your trick? Were you out there at a retailer waiting for them to open, or were you up and early with your coffee in hand and getting ready to click that button to pre-order and add to your cart in whichever website you were on? But short video today. Leave a like, subscribe if you haven't. I want to hear from you. Let me know what you're thinking down in the comments, and I'll catch you on the next one. Rico out.